Okay, white supremacist violence is and always has been the number one threat to our society.
But I'm also very proud that my wife is white.
The Breakfast Club, bitches.
All right, Charlamagne, please tell me, why was I your donkey of the day?
Well, donkey of the day for Thursday, August 12th goes to United States Senator Cory Booker. Let me tell you something, and I mean this wholeheartedly. If you are going to vote locally, if you're going to vote in the midterms next year, 2022, if you're going to vote for president in 2024, if you vote at all, simply vote your interest. If nobody is saying anything of interest, if nobody is planning to do anything that's going to directly impact you or your community, then that's on them. It's not your job to vote for them. It's their job to give you something to vote for. Okay, I'm saying that because even though we are a long way from the midterms, they, and by they, I mean Democrats and Democratic operatives, will be creating some boogeyman by then to guilt you into voting blue just because even though with the White House and the Senate, they have kept zero promises to the majority of constituents who went out and voted for them to get the Senate and the White House. Let's discuss. Okay, last year, the civil unrest that happened in this country because of the murder of George Floyd, the murder of Breonna Taylor, and the countless others of black and brown people who have been killed at the hands of the cops. You know, we got to a tipping point last summer. And when these politicians were campaigning, they tapped right into that energy. Oh, they pulled at our emotional heartstrings, people. They acted like they cared about what the organizers, the activists, the folks on social media, they acted like they cared about what they thought in regards to police brutality. I mean, listen, we know politicians are dream sellers. That's all politics is about, the buying and selling of dreams. You just got to pick which dream you want to buy. We know this. But for some reason, we lie to ourselves and tell ourselves that if you're a Republican, your party is right. No pun intended. And if you're a Democrat, your party is right. When the reality is they're both wings on the same damn bird. And that bird rarely, if ever, cares about what black people care about. They rarely, if ever, care about what poor people care about. Whatever the issues the most marginalized, the most vulnerable amongst us are facing, they don't really care. But they will act like they care when they're trying to get your vote. But when they get in position to do something, they do nothing. Which brings me back to Cory Booker, just the latest Democrat to blatantly spit in the face of the people who mobilized last year to make sure the Democrats had control of the White House and the Senate. Oh, this hypocrisy is so blatant. I know we like to turn a blind eye, okay, to the BS in the Democratic Party because we voted for them, so we act like we don't see it, because if we act like we don't see it, then we don't have to defend it. But Cory Booker was on the Senate floor, and there was a GOP amendment opposing defund the police. Okay, it's actually Amendment 3113, and Senator Tommy Tuberville said, opposing my amendment is a vote in support of defunding the police and against the men and women in blue. Now, we all know defunding the police is a divisive phrase, whatever. Okay, but it's not about the phrase. It's about what defunding the police actually is. You can get rid of the phrase and simply say we want to reallocate resources to services, you know, for mental health. All right, police don't need to be responding to those kinds of calls when folks who suffer from mental health issues are having breakdowns. Send out professionals who actually deal with those kinds of things. Reallocate funds to make the schools better in poor and disenfranchised communities. Reallocate funds to create job training programs, trade schools, STEM centers, and more importantly, let's reallocate some funds to create a more public safety approach instead of this tough on crime policing folks been doing. Okay, we all get caught up in this phrase, defund the police, instead of what defunding the police actually is. So, what happened on the Senate floor was a trap. That's why Tommy Tuberville worded it that way. Opposing my amendment is a vote in support of defunding the police and against the men and women in blue. So any Democrat who votes against his amendment wants to defund the police and doesn't support police. How did Cory Booker reply to this? Let's listen.
And I will tell you right now, thank God, because there's some people who have said that they're members of this deliberative body that want to defund the police, to my horror. And now this senator has given us the gift that finally, once and for all, we can put to bed this scurrilous accusation that somebody in this great esteemed body would want to defund the police. So let all of us, 100 people, not walk, but sashay down there and vote for this amendment and put to rest the lies. And I am sure I will see no political ads attacking anybody here over defund the police. And I would ask unanimous consent to add something else to this obvious bill. Can we add also that every senator here wants to defund the police, believes in God, country, and apple pie? Thank you.
How do you sashay?
Do that walk, that Saucy Santana walk. You hear me? He wanted him to do that Saucy Santana walk down there to vote, okay?
Okay, Cory.
All right? Cory is too busy worried about what Republicans think of him, okay? And so are other Democrats, all right? They are too worried about, political messaging instead of actual political promises. They don't want things like defund the police weaponized against them in campaign ads. But guess what? Democrats wouldn't have those problems if they were better at messaging, okay? If they were better at controlling their own narratives. There is nothing wrong with reallocating resources from police departments to the actual people. I'm sure we can all agree that billions of dollars don't need to be given to police departments. Put that money in the community. Give folks more opportunity. Make people's living conditions better. Make sure folks can eat. And watch how those communities change. And when the communities change, the way police approach those communities should change, okay? And Cory knows this. Cory Booker absolutely knows this, but they are always so willing to throw the people fighting for these things under the bus because they know that historically y'all show up to vote for them regardless. Oh, I know you're probably thinking, well, how do you know Cory understands the nuance of defund the police? How does he understand the nuance of that slogan? Oh, I don't know. Maybe because he said it himself. On Meet the Press, NBC News, June 7th, 2020. This is Cory Booker.
I want to ask you about defunding the police. The phrase may mean different things to different people, but when you hear that, what's your reaction?
I understand clearly the sentiment and the substance behind the slogan. And so while it's not a slogan I'll use, if people just dismiss it and don't get deeper into the substance, we are using police. And as a guy who ran police departments, I would have exhausted police officers saying, why are we using police to deal with the fragility or vulnerability of our society? There's so much money going into our police departments that it's a more expensive way to deal with it. We are over-policed as a society. We are investing in police, which is not solving problems, but making them worse, when we should be in a more compassionate country, in a more loving country. And I know love is at the core of our ideals, but it needs to be made manifest in our policies. We would actually spend less money. We would elevate human dignity and human potential. And we would set a standard on the planet Earth for how we treat those who are vulnerable as opposed to what we're seeing right now.
Is that the same Cory Booker or a different Cory Booker?
That was a variant. This is a Cory Booker variant. This is a different multiverse than we were in last year.
Okay.
I don't understand why Democrats care so much about making Republicans comfortable. Okay. They don't care about making y'all comfortable. Why are y'all always trying to make these white, hypothetical swing voters comfortable instead of doing right by your base? If these Republicans don't understand what defunding the police means, keep saying what it means until they do. Okay? By the way, all the Democrats voted in favor of passing this amendment. All of them. So now you have a bunch of folks, including people who voted for you, who think Democrats aren't for reallocating funds from police to the communities who actually need it. Now, Cory, you can say you was being sarcastic. You can say you was joking, but this isn't a joking matter. Okay, Democrats have to try a political strategy they haven't tried before, and that's courage. Stand for something for once and stop compromising. All y'all do is negotiate with domestic terrorists. But then next year, you're going to go right back to those activists and community organizers and the people who voted for you and ask for their help in mobilizing votes. Literally. Last June, he's talking like he understands. And this year, he's on the Senate floor telling the powers that be that it's a gift that we get to show y'all by voting how much we don't care about reallocating resources from police to the people who need it. I can't wait to see y'all scrambling to rally voters next year. And I hope, it is my prayer, that voters treat Democrats the way Joe Manchin treats Democrats. Oh, I respect Joe Manchin's gangster. He treats Democrats exactly the way we should treat them. And it's simple. Y'all don't get what y'all want if I don't get what I want. Period. Please let Remy Ma give Cory Booker the biggest hee-haw.
Hee-haw, hee-haw. You stupid motherfucker. Are you dumb?
Donkey of the Day is brought to you by the law office of Michael S. Lamonsoff. Don't be a donkey. Dial pound 250 on your cell and say the bull if you've been hurt in a construction accident. That's pound 250 from your cell and say the bull.